Part 1. Welcome to the Hills, Oil Strike and Instant Riches. In the rolling mist-kissed hills of rural Tennessee, where life has flowed for generations at the unhurried rhythm of nature itself. The Beverly Hillbillies pilot episode opens with one of the most perfectly crafted introductions in the history of American television comedy. From the very first lines, we are transported into a world that feels both timeless and intimately familiar, a world of coon hunting, homemade lye soap wood stoves, and a profound unshakable connection to the land. It is here in this humble mountain cabin that we first meet the Clampett family, whose lives are about to be turned gloriously upside down by the discovery of black gold beneath their modest swamp. The episode begins with a delightful domestic scene that immediately establishes the central dynamics of the family. Granny is fussing over young Ellie Mae, who has once again been running wild through the hills. The dialogue crackles with authentic mountain flavor as Granny complains about Ellie Mae's tomboy ways, noting how the girl has popped the buttons off of her shirt again and is getting too big to be wearing man's duds. This opening exchange does far more than introduce characters. It gently reveals the loving but firm tension between tradition and the unstoppable force of youth. Ellie Mae is portrayed not as a mere comic stereotype but as a vibrant, untamed spirit, strong enough to wrestle bobcats, proud in her bearing and already showing the first graceful curves of womanhood. Jed Clampett, ever the patient patriarch, listens with quiet wisdom, understanding both his daughter's wild energy and Granny's desire to see her grow into a proper young lady. What follows is pure comedic gold. Ellie Mae drags in a stranger she has beamed with a rock, suspecting him of being a revenuer. The bewildered oil executive Mr. Brewster finds himself in the midst of a world he barely comprehends. The Clampetts' hospitality is warm yet comically literal. They offer to keep him in the smokehouse like a prized hog and casually discuss possum innards for supper. These early moments brilliantly set up the central comedic engine of the entire series. The collision between backwoods simplicity and modern sophistication. The heart of Part 1 truly ignites when Mr. Brewster examines the swamp and makes his stunning announcement. The swamp, long considered worthless by the Clampetts, except as a place full of critters, is revealed to be sitting atop one of the richest oil pools since the legendary East Texas strikes. Jed's reaction is a masterclass in character writing. Rather than leaping for joy at instant wealth, he responds with characteristic skepticism and integrity. When told he would not have to pay for the drilling, Jed firmly replies that he does not take favors from strangers. This small moment speaks volumes about the moral core of the Clampett family. Wealth, no matter how great, will never erode their fundamental sense of honesty and self-reliance. As the news slowly sinks in, the script delivers layer upon layer of comedy through misunderstanding. The concept of a telephone baffles the family. Granny imagines an airfield as something that literally sets up in the air. When millions of dollars are mentioned, Jed initially thinks it is some strange new currency he has never heard of. These linguistic and cultural gaps are mined for gentle, affectionate humor rather than cruelty. The writers clearly love these characters and respect their worldview, even as they invite us to smile at the delightful gaps in their understanding of the modern world. The arrival of Cousin Pearl and her oversized son Jethro adds another rich dimension to the family portrait. Pearl, ever the ambitious relative, immediately sees the potential in this windfall and begins planting the idea of moving to California, specifically Beverly Hills, where the movie stars live. Her colorful descriptions of life in the Golden State, where things grow twice as big, spark Jethro's enthusiastic imagination. The family's discussion about whether to leave their mountain home becomes one of the emotional anchors of the episode. Jed, ever thoughtful, does not rush into the decision. He weighs the isolation of their current life 8 miles from the nearest neighbor, kerosene lamps, outdoor plumbing, against the deep roots they have in these hills. Granny's character shines particularly bright in these scenes. Her stubborn attachment to the land and traditional ways is both comical and deeply touching. When Jed tries to persuade her about the wonders of California, she remains firmly planted in her rocking chair, declaring that if the good Lord wanted her in California, he would have put her there already. This resistance is not mere stubbornness. It represents something profound about Appalachian identity, a fierce pride in self-sufficiency and a healthy suspicion of anything that might compromise one's values. The financial revelation reaches its climax when the family finally grasps the scale of their fortune, $25 million. The pure, unadulterated joy that erupts is infectious. Granny calls for the jug, Pearl rejoices, and even the normally reserved Jed allows himself a moment of wonder at being called a millionaire. The script beautifully balances this excitement with Jed's continued humility. He remains more concerned about doing right by his family and honoring the deal than celebrating his new status. Throughout this opening act, the writing demonstrates exceptional skill in world building. We learn not just the surface quirks of the Clampetts, but their deeper values: loyalty to kin, honest labor, practical intelligence, and an unwavering sense of who they are. Jed emerges as the calm, wise center, a man who raised his daughter alone after losing his wife and turned her into a capable if unconventional young woman. Granny represents the indomitable spirit of the older generation, full of folk wisdom and fiery temperament. Ellie Mae embodies untamed vitality and emerging femininity. Jethro, with his enormous frame and childlike enthusiasm, provides physical comedy and lovable dim-witted charm that will become legendary. The oil strike serves as far more than a convenient plot device. It is the spark that propels these authentic salt-of-the-earth characters into a world of swimming pools, mansions, and social pretension. By grounding the story so firmly in the warmth and humor of the mountain culture, first, the episode ensures that when the Clampetts eventually arrive in Beverly Hills, we are already deeply invested in them. We want to see them succeed not because they are rich, but because they are good people whose essential decency and humor will shine even brighter against the polished backdrop of California high society. The pilot's opening perfectly establishes the timeless appeal of fish-out-of-water comedy while never losing sight of the human heart beneath the laughs. It celebrates cultural contrast without condescension, honors traditional values, even as it gently pokes fun at them, and introduces characters so vividly drawn that they would sustain 9 successful seasons and decades of syndication. As we watch Jed thoughtfully consider this life-changing opportunity, it was not a 50. We sense that we are witnessing the birth of something special, a comedy that would speak to audiences across generations, by reminding us that no amount of money can buy character, and that sometimes the richest folks are those who remember where they came from. The stage is masterfully set. The swamp has yielded its treasure, the family has been shaken from their comfortable routine, and the road to Beverly Hills lies ahead, promising endless comedic possibilities. What a magnificent beginning to one of television's most beloved journeys.